Welcome to Crime Beat Most Wanted. I'm Tracy Tong. Tonight, police are on the hunt for a man wanted for killing one person and badly injuring another.
Let me be very clear. The actions and behavior of these individuals led to the death of a woman we believe to be completely innocent.
A person who didn't know, took Angela's life away from all of us.
The speed did increase and actually increased to 157 kilometers an hour at one time.
We believe that there are people out there that know the whereabouts of the accused.
Yeah, I'm angry at the guy. I definitely want to see justice.
Talal Amer is one of Canada's most wanted. After the fatal collision, he allegedly ran away from the scene, evading police and the criminal trial he faces. Here now is Nancy Hixt with the hunt for Talal Amer.
On a cool spring evening in May of 2022, Calgary families in the quiet community of Radisson Heights were getting ready for bed until they were disrupted by a violent and chaotic sequence of events.
We received reports of kind of two erratic drivers on 36th Street. And then specifically that a red truck seemed to be chasing a smaller sedan type of vehicle.
Shots rang out. Bullets pierced through walls, including the home of a family of 5. Fortunately, none of the occupants were hit. Bullet holes marked the close call. But the gunfire didn't stop.
So both vehicles are traveling southbound on 36th Street from Memorial Drive. And at some point, the red truck is able to pull up next to the gray sedan. The occupant of that truck shoots at the gray sedan and then flees that shooting.
The driver of the gray car was hit. He lost control and hit another vehicle from behind. Meanwhile, the offender in the red truck took off at high speeds. What happened next was captured by several CCTV cameras. A mother of 5, driving her van northbound on 36th Street, was just minutes from home. At the exact moment she turned to go west on 17th Avenue, the red truck sped through the intersection. Police and EMS arrived within minutes and tried to help the driver and sole occupant of the van. But it was too late. Angela McKenzie died at the scene. In the meantime, the driver of the truck fled on foot. His exit also captured on several CCTV cameras.
The occupant of the truck just was able to kind of get out of the truck. The truck was damaged as well, but they were able to get out of the truck and then, walk/run away from the scene. They didn't try to render any assistance to the person in the minivan or talk to any of the number of people that were on scene because they either seen firsthand what happened or they had heard what happened and came out to sort of investigate and figure out what was going on.
Angela McKenzie's death was deemed a homicide, and finding the driver became a Calgary Police Service priority.
There is no space or tolerance for that level of violence on our streets.
Investigators turned to witnesses for information.
There was a lot of 911 callers, so they had interviewed some of them and started to obtain CCTV in the area, and then they had interviewed the victim of the shooting, the living victim, at the hospital.
For safety reasons, police haven't identified the driver of the gray car who was shot. He survived, but officers said he suffered life-altering injuries.
It was never made super clear. The motivation behind it was kind of unknown.
The hunt for the suspect intensified.
The vehicle was stolen, had been re-VINed, and it was registered to a completely different person that was completely unrelated to this. So we located items in the vehicle which led to other investigative avenues which identified the suspect. And that included some more CCTV, DNA evidence. We retrieved a handgun from in the vehicle. So all those items were found in the vehicle, and they led to other investigative avenues that we were able to identify a suspect. The suspect was identified as Talal Amer.
Calgary Police collision reconstructionists were called in to investigate the fatal crash. The speed limit on that road is 50 kilometers an hour. Data from the red truck's airbag module revealed the driver was going more than 3 times the posted limit.
I was able to determine that at 5 seconds prior to the crash, the Chevy Silverado was traveling at 155 kilometers an hour. Now, it was increasing its speed at that point because the accelerator pedal was at 99%, which is almost full to the floor, right? So the speed did increase and actually increased to 157 kilometers an hour at one time. And then at that point, which I think was about 3 seconds prior to the collision, the accelerator came off, and at 1.5 seconds, the brake went on. But of course, at that speed, he's unable to bring that vehicle to a stop in that distance.
A Canada-wide warrant was issued for the arrest of Talal Amer. Angela McKenzie's mother made a plea for help from the public.
A person who didn't know, took Angela's life away from all of us. His rage and attempt to kill someone else ended up killing my daughter, a mother of 5 children. I make this plea to everyone who loves their friends and family. If you know where the individual is, please let the police know immediately. For your safety, the safety of everyone around you and your community.
While the hunt for Talal Amer continues, Angela McKenzie's family struggles to understand how a suspect released only a year ago from prison is alleged to have been responsible for her death. That's after the break.
Our message to the public is simple: be on the lookout. Our message to these fugitives is also simple: today is a good day to turn yourself in. You've evaded arrest so far, but you can't look over your shoulder every minute of every day.
The partnership between BOLO and Crime Stoppers will allow the Calgary Police Service to locate Mr. Amer and bring him into custody, where he can face justice.
Welcome back to Crime Beat Most Wanted. Tonight, police are asking you to be on the lookout for one of Canada's most wanted, Talal Amer. He is described as 5'11" or 180 centimeters. He has black hair and brown eyes and weighs about 230 pounds or 104 kilograms. He is wanted for charges of manslaughter and attempted murder. The crimes he's accused of has left one young Calgary family devastated. Let's go back to Nancy Hixt and the hunt for most wanted, Talal Amer.
Prior to the horrific crash that ended Angela McKenzie's life, her world revolved around family. Her mother was her best friend.
When Angela was like, she was my partner. She did everything with me. She had such a energy, such a powerful energy, you know, the kind person, the loving person.
Angela was a mother of 5.
They were everything for her. She was volunteering with dance school and going to this and She had everything lined up just perfectly.
At 40, the single mother had found love again.
It did feel like it fit, right? When we started seeing each other and everything else with the kids, it felt natural. It felt like it worked, everything just clicked.
Jeff Poirier was a longtime family friend, and it didn't take long for them to get engaged.
That was more of a random, like there was never a ring or anything, you know, transpired. She got my initials tattooed on her ring finger. There was no official like down on the one knee or anything like that. It was like, all right, that's what we're doing. You know, you're now my fiance and we're gonna work it out and we'll figure it out and we'll get the wedding together.
But they never had a chance to plan their wedding because on May 10th, 2022, everything came to a devastating and abrupt end.
That night, the kids had stayed at home, and me and Ange were just out with some friends of ours, and we were gonna go to dinner, but I had a really wicked migraine, and so I just went back to my mom and dad's to sit back down on the couch and relax and take some pain meds. She left me there about 11 o'clock. You know, I was laying on the couch with a cold cloth on my head, and she said, "I love you." I said, "I love you," and she walked up the stairs, and that was the last time I seen her. A couple hours later, when, you know, I realized that I hadn't heard from her yet. She's not answering her phone. She, you know, normally she would answer her phone or send a text or whatever, right?
Jeff went looking for her, retracing Angela's route home from his parents' place.
That's when I seen all the police lights on the intersection, and I couldn't go up 17th. So I went down onto one of the back roads, and then I noticed her van sitting in front of the bank. Found the closest officer that was standing there, and I asked him, I says, "Where is the woman that was driving that van?" And he says, "How do you know it's a woman?" I says, "Because that's my fiance's van. I know it's a woman. Where is she?" And that's when he informed me that she didn't make it past the scene. I knew that I was going to have to be the one that was going to tell Sylvia. I couldn't let a police officer do that. And that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, other than telling the kids.
That morning, Jeff and Sylvia gathered Angela's 5 children together on the couch and told them what happened.
From that point on, me and Oma took a crash course in co-parenting and, you know, just started figuring out what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And I know for a fact we're going to do our damnedest, you know, to give those kids what they still need and what they want.
Jeff and Sylvia now have joint custody of Angela's children.
Me and Oma, we got a house to bring, so all of us are in the same place.
We have each other, and we take one day at a time. And some days are good, and sometimes are not so good. And then you cry a little, and then you pull your socks back up and go again, you know, because tomorrow is another day.
In everything they do, they remember Angela.
I'd probably say one of my favorite memories of us spending time together was when she realized that I play music and that. And she's like, "Well, what would you say if I brought the kids over, you know, and see if any of the kids are interested in music?" And I said, "Sure." So she brought the kids over, and that was probably my favorite memory, was the first day that the kids were at my house with all the instruments. And, you know, I just kind of looked at the kids and went, "What tweaks your interest?" Every Wednesday we still do band practice. You know, Ange started that, and there is no way we're going to stop it.
Just 1 year before the high-speed crash that killed Angela McKenzie, Talal Amer was granted statutory release following a 3-year prison sentence.
Talal Amer's name had come up as somebody who had been involved in the drug trade and a suspect in a number of violent acts that occurred in Calgary.
Angela McKenzie's family continues to hope Talal Amer, one of Canada's most wanted, will be caught and face justice. After the break, we learn more about Amer's criminal past. Welcome back. Talal Amer is one of Canada's most wanted. Police are asking if you have a tip on his whereabouts to call Crime Stoppers. He is wanted for manslaughter, attempted murder, and firearm offenses. Here again is Nancy Hixt.
Through our investigation, we learned that Talal was a Canadian citizen, that he grew up in Calgary, attended school in Calgary. We learned that his family, his mom was from Syria, his dad was from Lebanon, and he had multiple family relations within Calgary. There was a couple of different drugs that they were dealing, but quite often it was fentanyl that they were trafficking.
Amer was arrested following a police investigation dubbed Operation Hybrid.
So Talal was somebody who came to our attention as being an individual who was willing and prepared to take any overt action against who he thought might be a rival or competition.
Amer pleaded guilty to 2 charges, including discharging a firearm with intent and conspiring to traffic drugs. But according to the Parole Board of Canada, Talal Amer has been under investigation by police for 2 other homicides in the city of Calgary.
We held people accountable for a number of offenses that happened in 2015 and 2016. As a result, we saw a quieter beginning to 2016 when it came to violent offenses in Calgary. And I think that that's a keynote to bring into what's currently going on for Talal, is that the time and effort and resources will be put into finding him, and we will find him.
According to a written decision by the Parole Board of Canada, Amer's institutional behavior was problematic and included serious charges related to weapons and drug paraphernalia, and alleged he was involved in an inmate assault causing severe injuries and requiring hospitalization. Talal Amer was granted statutory release in 2021, but his warrant expiry date, the end of his sentence and the end of his parole, was May 5th, 2022, 5 days before the crash that killed Angela McKenzie. There are a lot of evidentiary details that police can't reveal to protect the integrity of the ongoing investigation. That includes further details about the original shooting and the target of the shooting.
So the accused in this case hasn't had a trial yet because we've been unable to locate him. So I'm sort of limited with respect to details of the case that we can talk about because of the fact that the suspect hasn't gone through trial.
Talal Amer is accused of targeting and shooting one man, then, while fleeing at a high speed, hitting and killing Angela McKenzie.
Let me be very clear. The actions and behavior of these individuals led to the death of a woman we believe to be completely innocent in this matter. A woman who will now be mourned by her family and friends, and it breaks our heart to think about.
Talal Amer remains at large. The charges Amer is facing have not been proven in court. Police say that after he ran from the scene, he was captured on video getting into a vehicle.
Looking at the footage of this vehicle was parked prior to the collision occurring. So from what we can gather now, he's approached this vehicle that was there already and likely has asked him to give him a ride and maybe even offered money. What we'd really like to know is what the conversation was when he picked him up, and what was said, and perhaps where they went afterwards.
So we believe that there are people out there that know the whereabouts of the accused and that potentially assisted him in some way of evading arrest and fleeing a jurisdiction.
Angela's family hopes Talal Amer will be caught.
He took this person away who was loved by so many people.
Yeah, I'm angry at the guy. I personally don't even feel that his name is worth me mentioning. I refuse to say it. I definitely want to seek justice.
I think on the beginning I was really hoping he would. Like I was really thought he had, I don't even know if I can say that, the decency to own up what he did. But, you know, now I just, you know, like he needs to be caught. There has to be justice.
As I was putting together this episode, Sylvia called me. Jeff had passed away. This episode is in Angela and Jeff's memory, and Sylvia and the kids still want justice and are hoping this reaches someone who knows something.
Officials believe Talal Amer could be in BC. Sources confirm he also has ties overseas in both Lebanon and Syria. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers. There is a reward of up to $50,000 for tips that lead to his arrest. And a reminder, all calls are anonymous. I'm Tracy Tong. Thank you for joining us tonight on Crime Beat Most Wanted.
For more from Crime Beat, there are over 80 episodes of the Crime Beat podcast available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.